People just really need to be aware that coming out of prison, you can fall prey to scams, and that, there's con artists out there, creditors calling you and, bullying you or harassing you. I'm pretty sure a lot of us that were in prison, know about extortion and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's real out here too, and ladies just need to remember that happens out in the real world also.
Right, because the world is ever changing, even though you're doing time and it may seem like it's standing still for you. Time is evolving, technology is evolving. So when I got out, there was a new scam where they will send you a cashier's check. And in my thinking, you could not counterfeit a cashier's check. But because I did have an accountant major and I was scared about being an ex-felon, I went to the bank and asked, because most of the time they want you to deposit the funds. The funds is gonna clear because the bank is gonna put that on your account immediately, and then they ask you to take a smaller portion out. So you think, oh, well, I'm getting paid up front. But with me knowing that, because I came from that crime, I went to the bank first and they immediately verified, and that was not a good cashier's check. But they do it with money orders. So things that you think can't be counterfeit or fraud, they're actually doing it now. So just be careful. And a telltale sign is when they ask you to give them money from that check.
The scam things, you get the phone calls daily, and they're easy to get trapped into. Very easy. If you don't figure out what you're doing, if they're legit or not, even the biggest and the ones that you think are going to be a good reputable company to work for. A lot of the work from home programs, lead lighting, contracts, there's several of them out there, and they will message you, send you an email, be careful what you open, and make it sound like a bed of roses when it's nothing more. They want you to pay $79.99 to get started in a program. They'll send you a shipping package, and it's nothing. They want your money, and they will try to scam you because you don't have nothing. You're a ghost in the system. You absolutely have nothing on your credit history, especially if you've done any length of time in prison. So they're going to come at you as hard as they can.
One of the things that I experienced was a scam where somebody stole my identity. They opened up utilities in Atlanta, which was not, it was my Social Security, but it was in my main name. And so that was on my credit report. We did a dispute. You do have to file a police report, but I was never able to file a police report just because I got busy and I just didn't pursue it, but it came off of my credit. They gave you a link, and on that link you went into the IRS, you made a profile, and you were able to see all your paycheck stubs that you have ever gotten, and you were able to see all the income tax that you ever filed for, any income tax returns. So when I went in there, I noticed that in 2011, somebody had filed an income tax for me. And I said, wait a minute, I was incarcerated during that time. So I looked in there, it had the name, it had the city, it had everything, all their information, and they were gonna get back $9,000. So what happened was that they called and they inquired because the IRS froze the payment because I owed a student loan, and the student loan had racked up to over $6,000. That's how I found out that somebody had used me as their spouse. So I had to call the IRS, and they told me, we know where you were, we know that you were incarcerated, so we know that that is not you. We have seen your identification, we know that you were married in the past, and that this person had filed an income tax under your maiden name. So we know that this is false. And they did forgive me. They did send me a letter and say, you are not responsible for this $9,000.
So last year, Jeremy picked me up from work and we're riding home, and he was freaking out, and he was talking about the IRS and owing them money, which he does still owe them money from when he was in the military. So he gets a phone call, and I don't remember if they told him who they were calling on behalf of, or if I just can't remember it, but they were pretty much threatening him that they were going to garnish his wages, 25 to 50%. If he didn't pay this money right now, they wanted him to wire the money to some kind of account. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that the IRS doesn't do that. So I think he had the gentleman on the phone. So I Googled it real quick, just kind of what was going on. And sure enough, there was Better Business Bureau reports of stuff like this happening. So the gentleman gets back on the phone, and I was like, give me the phone. So I grabbed the phone, and I was like, you should really be ashamed of yourself that you're doing something like this. And I just can't believe that you would take people's money. And he listened for, a good amount of time. And then, of course, the phone went dead. So they did not garnish his wages. Nobody came and arrested him. But yeah, it was good. It was a good lesson for both of us, and a funny story.
I got scammed. I don't even know how it happened, but this company from outside of the 50 states is what it says on my bank thing, keeps taking money out of my bank account. Like one time, $300, and we called the 1-800 number and then they said, oh, there's no customer service people here. They're on the website. And then you go to the website, and the website isn't even real. And I'm just like, how is this place taking my money? I can't have it taking my money. I have bills to pay. And so finally my sister and I got a hold of them, and they're like, well, we can only refund $60 of the $300. And I'm like, what? No, I never told you you can have any of my money. So it ended up that I didn't get the money back, and they just keep taking it. So I just had to stop using that bank account and shut it down. And how I found out about that they took the money is because I have automatic alerts. Whenever any money is taken out of my bank or anything is done on my card, it would alert me on my text message and say, this action was taken, this money was taken, 5 minutes ago or whatever. And so I knew immediately, and I called the bank and I'm like, I did not authorize this. But you gotta be very careful because there's so many scams out there.
I do try to check my balance periodically. I try to balance my checkbook, and I get online and check my account. I try to do it at least once a week, sometimes several times a week. I also look at my credit cards, make sure there's no fraudulent activity that I know I didn't make. So I always try to keep in mind, and if there was ever anything, of course, I would first call my husband, make sure it wasn't from him. Also, when I've noticed fraudulent activity, I had one from Great Britain, and they test. They do $1 here, $4 here, and then they do a bigger charge, like 70 or, whatever there. And you just have to get new cards and new numbers, and it's a pain, but usually the bank and the credit card company are pretty cooperative. You just have to follow all the steps that they require you to do, like sign your affidavit and say you didn't spend that, and it does take time, so that's why I always like to have a little extra money in the bank, no matter what. If something like that happens, you're always covered. You're not dependent on month to month like that.
When I got out of prison, I didn't have anything to do for at least 30 months. So everybody was talking about Facebook and, all of these things in your phone. So I got on Facebook, and I started looking at stuff, and right away, these men, they would get on my Facebook. But they would have pictures of my friends in there. And, I was very vulnerable, and I wanted to have a relationship with somebody. But I just, that right there, thinking maybe I could find somebody that will love me. They would ask me financially how much money I was making, what was my job. But then when these questions were being asked, I thought, what does money have to do with any of this? And then I would call my friends, and I would tell them, do you know this person? And they didn't know who he was.
You have to be careful because they will promise you the world. They sound great. But 9 times out of 10, if they're widowed and they got a child, they're not American. You can pretty much tell by the way they text because of the way they put their words together. I actually had a guy go in through my Facebook and into my friends and started sending friend requests. But you can go in and block them, and it stops it right there. But you need to be careful because people are always trying to get over it. The world is not a nice place. Even if you're around nice people, you're still going to encounter people that are not doing the right thing and just trying to get what they can out of you.